When you came to Chicago, were you hoping for a confrontation with the police? I'm concerned you have to think about it.
Give me a moment, would you, friend? I've never been on trial for my thoughts before.
Good to see you again, Aaron.
It's good to see you, Ryan. How are you?
Doing fantastic. You know, if I would have read all of your notable work, we would be here for 3 days.
That's very nice of you. I don't recommend doing that.
Do you actually have a favorite project that you've done?
You know, my favorite projects always tend to be the thing that I've just done. So right now it's Chicago 7, but I'm very proud of all of them and just have great memories of the people that I worked with.
Yeah, I had a chance to see the film. It's absolutely fantastic. And when did you first find out about this story or become intrigued with it? Because a lot of this was new for me, and I'm a Chicago guy.
Yeah, it was new for me, too. It was 14 years ago in 2006 on a Saturday morning. I was asked to come over to Steven Spielberg's house. And just to be clear, that's not common. I don't hang out with Steven Spielberg. He told me he wanted me to write a movie about the Chicago 7. And I said, count me in. That sounds great. This will be a great movie. And then I left his house, called my father, and asked him who the Chicago 7 were. You know, I was just saying yes to Steven Spielberg the way any writer would. But then over time, I got an education. There are over a dozen good books written about it, some of them written by members of the Chicago 7. There's a 21,000-page trial transcript. But most critically, I got a chance to spend time with Tom Hayden, who was alive at the time. He passed away about 4 years ago. But that gave me a great insight into Tom's relationship with Abby and just more of a personal look at the whole thing.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit more for the viewers that are new to the story, because I know that you shot some of it right here in Chicago, but tell people exactly what it's about.
Yeah, first, let me just say that we did shoot for 4 weeks in Chicago, and the MVP of this film is the city of Chicago. We got such a warm welcome and so much support from the city, particularly from the Chicago Police Department. The off-duty police officers were playing Chicago police officers from 1968. But basically, just a thumbnail sketch of the story. 1968, the Democratic Convention was in Chicago. 7 different leaders of 3 different anti-war movements organized what was supposed to be a peaceful protest in Chicago that turned into a violent clash with police and the National Guard. And the 7 organizers of the protest, plus 1, there are actually 8 members of the Chicago 7. The 7 organizers of the protest, plus Bobby Seale, who was thrown in there to be the scary black guy. Bobby Seale was the national chairman of the Black Panther Party. They were put on trial and charged with a crime no one had ever been charged with before, and no one's ever been charged with since: conspiracy to cross state lines in order to incite a riot. They wanted these guys put in jail for 10 years. They wanted to decapitate the anti-war movement, decapitate the hippie culture, the counterculture movement, and the trial itself, which lasted almost 6 months, became one of the most notorious in American history.
Yeah, how relevant do you think it is to the times we're in now in this country with the civil unrest and everything going on?
Listen, 14 years ago, when I started writing this, it was just started out being a story I knew nothing about, turned into a story that I love, that I thought this is just a really good story. If I can tell it well, it'll be a good movie. But during the 14 years, which even by Hollywood standards is a long time to get a movie made, during those 14 years, we've been on a collision course with history. So what started out just being, a good story to tell turned into something else when, don't want to get too political on your show, but a candidate for president who was then elected president began getting nostalgic at his rallies about the good old days when we'd carry a protester out of here on a stretcher and I'd like to punch that guy right in the face and I'll pay your legal bills. He's talking about 1968. And then the ground shifted even more in these last few months when protesters took to the streets because of African-American men and women being shot by police. Protesters took to the streets. and in several cities were met once again with tear gas and billy clubs. And so you ask how relevant is the film. Simply put, is not about 1968. It's about today. There are parts of it where people are going to think I wrote it last week. I didn't. Like I said, I didn't change the script or change the film at all to mirror events. Events changed to mirror the script.
Yeah, and I got to ask you about the cast, too, because it's outstanding. Eddie Redmayne, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Mark Rylance, Michael Keaton, Sacha Baron Cohen. It seems like you almost have to have an Oscar or be in an Oscar-nominated film to work in this movie.
Yeah, I got incredibly lucky. That cast, all of them working for minimum, by the way. We had to squeeze into a budget. All of them, many of these actors, they're used to starring in their own movies. As you said, a number of them have Academy Awards. And they loved being part of an ensemble, supporting each other, being there for each other. As for me, I felt like when I got to the set every morning, somebody was tossing me the keys to a Formula One race car. And as long as I didn't put the car in the wall, these guys were going to win.
Now, when you're writing a script, are you picturing, hey, this actor would be great in this role, or does that come way after?
That comes after. When I'm writing a script, there are other writers who do that. They write with actors in mind. When I'm writing, I'm actually playing all the parts. I'm very physical when I'm writing. I'm talking out loud. I'm jumping up and down from my desk. I'm walking around. So it's the sort of vague version of me that's playing all the parts. Yeah. And then you start casting it, and then suddenly Abby Hoffman starts looking like Sacha Baron Cohen, and Jerry Rubin starts looking like Jeremy Strong, and Kunstler starts looking like Mark Rylance, Frank Langella as the judge. That's what happens. Yeah, they take ownership of the roles.
And when I'm watching the courtroom scenes, I'm wondering how much is that direct transcript and how much is that your writing?
Well, as I said, the trial lasted almost 6 months, and the transcript is 21,000 pages long. Real trials aren't as entertaining as movie trials or TV trials. But there were certain parts that I felt were sacred, that I couldn't mess with, that I took directly from the trial transcript. And that includes all of the exchanges between the judge and Bobby Seale. I don't want to give any spoilers as to what happens to Bobby Seale during this trial, or how nuts the judge was, or how in the pocket for the prosecution he was. But like I said, this is one of the most notorious trials in history. Where I could, I preserved the actual dialogue from the transcript, but mostly it's what a writer does.
Yeah, I've read a lot about actors who have worked with you, Jeff Daniels, among many others, and it sort of seems like a love-hate, and although the hate is only that they have to remember so many different monologues. Has any actor come to you and said, Aaron, give me a break, this is 3 pages and I got to do it in 1 take?
They have a lot of work to do, by the way. Often those speeches, as Jeff can tell you, will include like a long list of statistics, of names, dates, places. But no one, as hard as it is for them, as big a challenge as it is, no one has ever come to me and said, give me less to say, make my monologue shorter.
Well, Aaron, it's a fantastic film. Always good to see you. Hopefully, we're going to have you back here in Chicago in studio someday.
I hope so,
soon.
Ryan. Thanks very much. It's a pleasure. And hello to everybody in Chicago.
All right. Be sure to catch the trial of the Chicago 7 now streaming on Netflix. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.